Last year, we did a review of the Huion GT190 tablet monitor, a very good cheap alternative brand for many digital artists who can't afford the highly expensive Wacom Cintiq. If you haven't seen that video review yet, click here. For those of you who have, you'll remember we emphasized that the value of the Huion GT190 came from its affordability by giving up extra bells and whistles such as an HD screen, while still giving you unparalleled hand and eye coordination when drawing line works flawlessly. Soon after the GT195, Huion released a 22-inch HD version of it called the GT22 HD. We missed out on reviewing that because there had been plenty of other reviewers already who had presented their experiences with it. Well, a year later, Huion released their newest tablet monitor called the GT185 HD. The 185 basically means 18.5 inches in screen size, and this is what we're reviewing right now. Unlike the GT22 HD, which was priced at close to about $900, the GT185 HD is priced only about at $599, just $200 more compared to last year's GT190. And unlike the GT190, the Huion GT185 HD has an IPS quality standard high definition screen. If that sounds like something you might want to buy, stick around, because at the end of the video, you will see how you can join a contest to win this tablet monitor for free. That's right, we're giving this unit away for free. So, on to the actual review. Immediately at first glance, the design of the GT185 HD looks much more sleek and modern than the GT190. Even though it is also much thinner and lighter, it still has a well-made casing that feels pretty solid. It also looks like Huion may have taken our advice on better placement for the cables and wirings. Compared to the GT190 that had the wires plugged into the bottom, which bent the wires and made connecting, disconnecting, and moving the unit around a bit difficult. The new design of the GT185 HD has the wires connecting to the side for better handling. We really must acknowledge Huion's care for customer feedback by really listening to the users' comments. So, accessibility has been prioritized. The connections include the power cable, the USB to the PC port, an HDMI port, a VGA port, and a DVI port. Overall, the design looks and feels like a huge high-end Android tablet. It's lightweight and compact enough to save you space, but feels strong enough to bear constant professional use. Just like the GT190, the Huion GT185 HD has a back panel support stand that can change according to the angle of the monitor that works best for you, all with a simple pull of the lever on the back. There's not much else to mention about this, besides that it is built to work, with several level positions for your comfort. Oh, and also, you'll need to screw this part into the back, so be careful which set of holes to align it with, because they also designed it to mount on desk mount arms. As mentioned, the Huion GT185 HD has an IPS HD screen for beautiful high-definition graphics, which means it has great fidelity in colors that doesn't wash out when seen from any angle of view. Even though the screen size is marked as a half-inch smaller than the GT190, we didn't notice it. Actually, the design of the bezel and overall frame is much more sleek and lets your eyes focus more towards the screen. The horizontally wider proportions of this monitor to accommodate the HD resolution specs of 1080 by 1920 lets users put the space-cluttering user interface and menu windows of most graphic drawings and painting programs farther on one side, which will allow you more workspace to draw in. And because the screen is IPS HD, much like the HP Pavilion 23XI series monitors, staring into this tablet monitor screen is not as tiring to the eyes as compared to the GT190 when you've been looking at it for long periods of time. Unlike the GT190's surface material, which was made of a thick glass, the GT185 HD's screen material seems to be made of impact-resistant plastic. While we've tested it to be scratch-proof using the given pen, this thin material gave us the initial thought that it could be damaged over many years of use. However, after heavy, consistent use, all the worries went away as we found the screen material to be made specifically for withstanding the weight of your hand and the constant friction of the pen's tip. To be fair though, we've only tested it for a couple of weeks' time, Any guarantee of the screen material and overall device durability will have to come from the manufacturer Huion. Another key point to make about the screen material of the GT185 HD is that, as mentioned before, it is actually thin. And being made of plastic, it has some flexibility to it, meaning the plastic surface bends under a certain amount of pressure, causing some small distortion of color underneath the pen tip. Very much like if you were to touch the screen on your regular LCD monitor, pressing your finger too hard on it will leave some kind of rainbow tracing effect that quickly disappears when the pressure is off. While the pen doesn't seem to actually cause any damage to it, the tracing effect that appears every time you press too hard on the screen might bother some users initially. It's not a major problem though, but if it does bother you, you can try adjusting the tablet pressure settings so you don't have to press down too hard. The great thing about the screen material being thin is that the distance between the tip of the pen touching the screen and the actual cursor you see in the graphic programs also doesn't suffer any parallax factor, giving you a real accurate pen-to-paper experience. The pen itself is wireless and rechargeable by USB. It looks a bit different than the one that came with the previous generation of Huion tablet monitors, but it retains its similar quality. The pen nib touching the screen isn't slippery at all, providing just enough friction, giving you the right weight and resistance to have great control with a tablet pen. The battery charge lasts for a good long time, even during continuous use for days on end. We never had to recharge it. You can also use it while the USB charger is plugged into it. What matters most is that it is quite responsive on the screen itself, and the resting base it comes with includes several extra pen nibs. A great enhancement to the user's experience with the Huion GT185 HD is the addition of the 8 hotkey buttons located on each sides of the tablet with identical functions. By that I mean there are 8 buttons on the right side of the bezel that function the same as the other 8 buttons on the left side of the bezel. Huion designed this to give the GT185 HD an ambidextrous interface to accommodate both lefties and righties. Even though some of you might be thinking that these are completely unnecessary because of the fact that the keyboard will always be our go-to shortcut control for selecting functions in any graphic program we're using, we actually found these things surprisingly useful. The shortcut buttons on each side include the undo function, eraser selection, pen selection, zoom in and zoom out adjustment selection, pen size adjustment selection, and drag object function. So why would you find these shortcut keys useful? Well, because for most projects, these are the shortcuts you will be using for several minutes of work at a time. So don't be surprised if you'll find your free hand resting more on the side of the tablet monitor instead of on the keyboard. Of course, this could also mean the shortcut keys sometimes can be accidentally pressed, but that's all on you. Here's some more good news. If you remember our review of the Huion GT190, we also strongly emphasize a lot of troubleshooting when it comes to the proper installation of the most updated driver in order to be able to use the tablet monitor as an extended screen. Thankfully, the CD that comes with the drivers for the GT185 HD works immediately for most graphic programs like Photoshop and Manga Studio. Most of the bugs regarding compatibility with Huion products seems to have been worked out since last year. The installation felt simpler and the calibration process was much easier and user-friendly too. However, there is actually one bug we found that could potentially be annoying, in which when the pen is lifted for a good amount of time too far from the screen. It usually happens when you're using the mouse temporarily. When you go back to using the pen again, it can become unresponsive for just a few to several seconds in order to reconnect with the sensor. This particular issue hasn't really been a limiting experience, but hopefully Huion can eliminate this completely. As always, when installing a driver for a tablet monitor, make sure to uninstall all other brand tablet drivers first, such as Wacoms. And double make sure you do not plug in the USB for the GT185 HD before you actually install the driver for the CD. Overall build quality, design, and almost completely trouble-free user experience has made the Huion GT185 HD a suitable worthy upgrade from last year's GT190. Now, whether it is worth upgrading from a GT190 depends on how badly you want to be able to do more than just excellent line work, such as painting for example. The High Definition IPS Screen on the GT185 will definitely give you the true color fidelity you need and want projected while working on your digital art. at the very least, if you didn't buy the GT190 last year, then by all means, save up a little bit more and get Huion's new GT185 HD. The real question is, does this unit finally put Huion on par with the Wacom Cintiq? And our answer is not quite yet. Although you'll be glad to know, after using the GT190 for a year, Huion's GT185 HD effectively made us stop wishing we had the Cintiq instead. Its high definition and resolution, practical design, and affordability makes it the perfect cheap alternative tablet monitor that any digital artist can use to maximize performance and ease of stress when working for hours on end. In short, we highly recommend the Huion GT185 HD. You can buy it directly from them with the links below. Right, well, if you're up to it, in collaboration with Huion, we'd like to give some lucky struggling illustrator or comic artist out there a chance to win a free GT185 HD. And to make sure that you're actually worthy of being given one, you just have to draw a quick art depicting the theme Back to School. For more information, head on over to our official Facebook fan page on how to enter. Thanks for watching.